We've seen it. Radio Caribbean International. 101. Number 1. Tired of the ordinary at lunchtime? Why not try something smart to chew on? The Lunchroom on RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom, informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI, food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Monday, the 25th of March, 2024, and this is program number 1151 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to Radio 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. You can stream our previous shows down as well on that platform. And, of course, you can also get us live on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International Facebook. Be sure to like and share that link, please, with your friends and family. If you want to call in later on in the program to tell us what's on your plate today and join in the conversation, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. That's our landline here. And you can also use WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings which we have to send out for today. Going out to Miss Charlotte Baptiste. Happy birthday to you, Nurse Baptiste. And we do hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic birthday celebration. Hope you're not working at this time either. And also sending birthday greetings out to Miss Chrissy DeLigny. Happy birthday to you. And we wish you a wonderful birthday celebration. And it's also the birthday today of Elton John. He turns 77 today. A bit of history for today. According to the calendar maker Dionysius, the first Easter was celebrated today in the year 31 AD. In the year 1807, on this day, the British Parliament abolished the slave trade throughout the British Empire, and the penalty of £120 per slave was introduced for ship captains. In the year 1895, on this day, Italian troops invaded what is known as Abyssinia, today Ethiopia. And in 1960, on this day, the first guided missile launch from a nuclear-powered submarine occurred, and that was off the USS Halibut. Now, in just a bit, we are going to be discussing taxes. And, of course, the end of the financial year is near March 31st. And so, of course, no doubt the rush is on to ensure that your taxes are filed. And, of course, we're going to get some help in that process, if you're a little bit confused about it, from some representatives of the Inland Revenue Department. That's our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. This all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, it is the end of the government of St. Lucia's financial year, a new year beginning April 1st. And of course, it's also time for a deadline for the filing of taxes. I think it was an American statesman, Benjamin Franklin, who said many moons ago that there are two things certain in life. One is death and one is taxes. And unfortunately, I don't think anybody likes either one, but it is a reality that we, of course, all have to deal with. And the reality is that it goes towards the funding of services, which, of course, we all utilize. So we, of course, are very pleased to have here in studio representatives of the Inland Revenue Department. Of course, that is a department of the Ministry of Finance, tasked with the responsibility of revenue collection for the state. And two ladies have joined us today. It is Miss Lisa Goodman. She's been on the program before. She's a taxpayer services supervisor, as well as another taxpayer services supervisor, Mrs. Tessa Biru Preville. And of course, it is crunch time at the Inland Revenue Department, no doubt about it. Very busy time, as lots of people are racing to get their filings in. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining us here at the program.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us, and welcome to good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you, thank you. Now, the tax period ends December 31st, and so normally people have that 3-month period to, in fact, get those matters sorted out. But we know the reality of it. We love to be very much last minute or after the hour, in fact. Tell us about this process of filing taxes. Why are we doing it and what's involved?
Okay, well, the process, or why we're doing it, is to ensure that at the end of the period, the year that has gone by, that we paid the correct amount of taxes. Every month, the employer is required to deduct a certain amount from their employees' salaries based on their tax code. So the filing of that tax return will just more or less be like a check to ensure that the employer deducted the right amount of tax based on the tax code, and for the employee to determine whether or not they've paid enough or they've overpaid. So if they overpaid, they would end up in a refund situation at the end of the filing process. Or if they didn't pay enough, then they would end up in a liabilities position where they would have to pay that amount upon filing.
So tell us about it. You mentioned tax code. Now, some people may be wondering, what is a tax code? How do I get about getting that tax code? How do I figure out what my tax code is?
So upon gaining employment, your employer is required to send you into Inland Revenue Department to get a tax code. The tax code is made up of a number of allowances that an employee can claim on their return form, and based on that calculation, the employee is given a tax code which they take to the employer. The employer uses a tax calculator. We have one on our website, or most employers have them as part of the accounting system, and that will determine how much tax the employee should pay monthly.
So, of course, the employer is a really important player
in that process.
In this entire
Yes.
process.
Yes.
Is it that sometimes some employers just send their employees out to figure it out themselves, or is it that they do, in fact, have to? This comes from them. Is there something that has to come from them?
No, well, the employee comes to Inland Revenue. They get the tax code. We give them a slip which would have their tax code. They're supposed to take it back to the employer, and the employer uses that number to determine how much tax should be deducted. And every month, they're supposed to remit, well, the 14th of the following month, remit that amount to the 15th, to Inland Revenue. They're supposed to remit that amount. So the employers are responsible for paying in the PAYE on behalf of the employee.
So in a perfect situation, one could say that there shouldn't be anything being owed by the individual or by the Inland Revenue if, in fact, somebody has the appropriate tax code.
In a perfect situation.
In a perfect
Yes.
situation. Now, let's talk about perhaps a lot of these imperfect situations.
Okay, you want to know?
Ms. Bureau,
Okay.
Mrs. Preble, sorry. Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, so the imperfect situations would happen if the employer during the year had a major medical expense. So that expense would not have been catered for within the tax code. or if they had children and they didn't come in to change their tax code. This is why we ask persons, once there's a change in any of the allowances, so whether you had children, you took a mortgage, life insurance, that you should come in to get your tax code adjusted. Because of the time value of money, you
Right.
prefer getting what's due every month than to wait, file your return, Inland Revenue owes you some money, and then you have a little wait before you can get that refund. So.
Now let's speak a little bit about that matter of allowances, because we know that there have been some changes in the allowances, and perhaps some people are not aware of exactly what the amounts are right now and what they can in fact file for. So maybe you want to speak to that. I mean, starting off, of course, with the personal allowance, which is what everybody benefits from.
Okay, so personal allowance is now 25,000. It moved from 18 to 25,000. Then
So that's applicable in the past, this
you're
current
right.
filing
So this
period.
current filing, your personal allowance would be 25,000. There, we have seen the removal of a limit on mortgage interest and the student loan interest. Prior to that, the mortgage interest was limited to 18,000 and the student loan to 3,000. We now have a new allowance. Persons can claim for expenses related to the purchase and installation of a solar photovoltaic system or its related components, and they can claim a maximum of 25,000. So that would have to be persons, if you installed that system last year, then you can claim for it on your return form this year. There's no, and the allowances now are capped at 30,000.
Now, before you move on to that one, because I think with the solar PV that you're mentioning, is that time bound? Is there going to be a time when it's not going to be available?
Yes, I think it's for three years.
So it's for the 3 years. So
Three
we've
years.
just gone through 1 year.
Yes.
And so there are 2 more years
Two
when
more
people
years.
can actually utilize
Take
this
advantage,
in the
yes.
first instance. Okay.
Yes. So the allowances, total allowances and deductions are capped at 30,000 now. So that would mean whether you claim for mortgage, children, dependent relatives, house insurance, life insurance, all your allowances will be capped at 30,000. There are, however, 3 allowances that are not part of that capping. So the 25,000 for personal allowance is not part of the cap.
Okay.
The medical allowance, so whether you claim the basic 400 or you have medical insurance or medical expenses, that's not part of the cap. And the expenses related to the purchase and installation of the solar photovoltaic system is not part of the cap. Everything else that you can claim for would form part of that cap of 30,000.
Okay. So let's just work through that a little bit, if you don't mind.
No problem.
So the personal allowance, as you said, 25,000. It's gone up from 18,000 to 25,000, and that's likely not to change. You know, that's fixed. So there's no sunset on that. Medical, as you mentioned, there's no limit.
There's no limit.
So
All you need to have are if you claim in expenses, your receipts, the original receipts, if you claim in the expenses. If you have a medical insurance and you've made your claims, of course you can claim for your premiums paid. And if there was any amount that was not reimbursed by the insurance company, it's normally on the statement, you can claim for that as well.
Okay, so you're going to get that from your medical insurance
Definitely.
provider in terms of that, in addition to the $400.
No,
no.
It's either if you have insurance, you claim your premiums, you claim your expenses, but you don't claim the 400. If you don't have insurance, then you claim the 400.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that there is a cap on other allowances of $30,000, up to $30,000.
That's correct.
And what would fall under that? What are some of those potential allowances?
Child allowance, dependent relative, housekeeper, life insurance, mortgage interest, house insurance, hobby farming.
Student loan interest.
Correct, yeah. Pension.
Mhm.
So everything
Every other
else
deduction.
that's
Everything
on
else.
every other deduction that's on the form falls within that cap of 30,000.
Okay. So somebody coming into you, of course, has to have all the relevant paperwork.
Correct.
And,
Yes.
sometimes maybe that's a challenge for some people. Like, I mean, things like a dependent relative. How do you go about determining that one?
Well, we ask the taxpayer if they put the person's claim for their parents, their mother
Right.
or their father, we'd ask certain questions to
Mhm.
determine if they qualify for that claim. So if your parents are employed or working or getting a pension, then you shouldn't be claiming for them under dependent relative allowance.
Oh, so even if
They
so-
should not be getting
so
an
if once they're
income.
getting once they get any form of income.
Yes, you don't claim for them.
So even if you're topping up or you're providing additional services, you
You're
can't.
being a good
you're
son
being
or
a good-
daughter.
Okay, that's interesting. So, so I suppose many people take note for that one. But of course, in terms of children, once they're under the age of 18, is there a cap on that too? I mean, in terms of how
Well, you have
the age.
different categories for the children allowance. Between baby months to 10 years old, 9 years, you claim 1,000. 10 years and above, once they go into school, 18, with the Sir Arthur, you claim 2,000. And then you can claim,
So
you
once
can
they go to
get
school at from what age?
10 to
So
about 18,
to
I
about
guess,
18.
secondary school level or Sir Arthur,
Right.
tertiary. And you can claim for your child if they are attending university. And full time, that is, you get a 5,000 allowance for that child.
Okay, so of course, the next question that some may ask is when individuals are married, can both husband and wife claim in those situations?
Yes, they can both claim. However, the claim has to be apportioned. So, if the father
have
and the
one
mother,
child,
yes.
If I have one
If you
child,
have
I
one
can
child,
only, and let's say that they're still a baby.
you can claim half. So if it's
You can claim half.
1,000, yes, so one claim 500, the other one claims 500.
Okay. So,
And that's where tax planning comes in. I mean, families sit down, decide which allowances you claim for, which is better, because you may find one parent may have a bigger income and may better for that parent to claim the allowances while the other parent, based on their income. So that's where tax planning
so you
comes
need to
in.
work it out with your
your
spouse
spouse.
Yeah.
to figure out how you actually, and of course with the cap now as
Yeah.
well, it
Yeah.
certainly does mean that you've got to plan
Yes.
accordingly in this instance. So again, just for the benefit of listeners out there, everybody has that 25,000 personal allowance, which of course means that anybody making less than that, really, at this point, let's say 2,000 a month, unless they don't really have, they shouldn't be in a
Should not be
situation
paying any taxes.
of paying any tax.
Right, correct.
So if in fact you are paying a situation right that you need to change your tax code.
Yes, and probably we need to have a discussion with the employer to determine, why is this happening? Because if the person has a tax code and based on their income, no taxes should be deducted, then we need to have
Okay.
that discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely. So in addition to that, of course, if you do have your tax code sorted out, you could probably be claiming because you got a child, and all of these, as you mentioned, dependent relative, house insurance, student loan, pensions, all of those things, that has to be capped up at $30,000. And then in addition to that, medical expenses, there is no limit,
No.
but of course you do have to go out
Have your proof of
Have
that.
your statements from your insurance provider or from your medical providers as well. And the other one that you can claim on up for another 2 years, well, for this current filing period, but for another 2 years, is that solar photovoltaic installation, if you in fact are making that investment. So, I mean, that's just basically of course, the numbers in terms of what some people can claim at this point. The process now, people want to know how to go about doing this. Do I need to just simply come into is this a good time to be coming into the Inland Revenue Department? Should I get a tax consultant, accountant, to help in this process? Can I do it online? What are the options?
Okay, so for now we have 3 ways that persons can file. You can come into our department, which is very busy, but you can come in. We have the online filing, so you can e-file your return but you should have been registered already. And we have the form on our website. So you can download that form, complete it, print it, and attach your documents to it and bring it into the department.
And this form that you're speaking on is a smart form. It's a PDF
Yes,
form,
yes.
so you can input information and then
It will do the
it will
calculations for
actually do
you.
the calculations
Yes.
for you. So that helps a lot in terms of that process. Now, of course, it's Monday. Friday is a holiday. So really and truly, there's not much time left in terms of that process right now.
Not at all.
How has it been going, though? Tell us about
It's
the
been
rate.
very busy during the week at all our locations.
And where are those locations? You may want to mention them as well.
Okay, so we have an office in Soufrière on the Bay Street, Soufrière. We're at the Viewfort. Our Viewfort Tax Service Center is at the Uptown Business Center. Persons can also file at our location on Bridge Street, Castries, upstairs ECFH on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
Of course, we have our main office location on the waterfront in the Herodine Rock building on the 1st and 3rd floor. Persons are also able to file at our property tax location, which is opposite the Gablewoods Mall at Sunny Acres. We have also provided filing assistance through our help desk at the JQ Rodney Bay Mall. We started today and we're there for the week and on Tuesday next week. We'll be
And
there
yes.
from 9 till
3.
3 and
Where at the mall is that?
directly upstairs KFC. We got a location
Okay.
there. Yes, upstairs KFC.
And we also offer assistance on Saturday. So persons can come into our main office on the 1st floor from 9 to 3.
So main office on the waterfront
And Viewfort.
for
our Viewfort office.
this coming Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, between
We-
We have been on for the month.
Right, you've
Every
been having it,
Saturday
but yeah.
in the month, yes.
Okay,
This is
so
the
that-
final Saturday.
So this is the final Saturday that you're offering it, but you are going next week as well. You said.
Yeah.
Also
Because
The
providing.
the-
second is the deadline.
Because the deadline falls on a Sunday,
Because
so
it's
it's
okay.
the next available working day, which is the 2nd.
Okay, so actually the second is the deadline,
The official.
official deadline. So that's very useful information. So Soufrière, VA4, upstairs, Uptown, Bridge Street, in your office there at the ECFH building there. Waterfront, of course, your main offices, headquarters. Sunny Acres, that was interesting. I didn't realize you could actually go into the property tax office
They
and do
providing
general.
they're providing that assistance from last week. They started.
It's just for the
Yeah.
filing period.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I think a lot of people pay a lot of attention to their pay as you earn PAYE, but is it also, of course, a period for businesses to be filing as well? And tell us about that in terms of income tax for corporations.
Okay. Well, the corporations are a little different. They file according to the year end.
Okay.
So if the year end is December, then they would have to file by March 31st or April 2nd. But the year end can be at any point during the year. So if the financial year runs from July to June, then they have 3 months after to file.
Okay. So there's not a major crunch right now for them in terms of filing.
No,
as
just
well?
those that
No.
the deadline was December.
Okay, wonderful. So, but coming back to it, of course, now, this whole process, I know, is also sort of running in tandem with a period that has been provided for persons who owe from earlier periods, or maybe have arrears, or there's an amnesty that's been going on for a
Correct.
number. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think you have another deadline coming up.
Yes.
May 1st, is it?
Yes, the amnesty ends. It's been on for a little while. Persons with liabilities from 2021 and prior are able to come in and get 100% waivers on their penalty and interest.
Okay, penalties and interest.
So, yeah, we've been encouraging persons. A lot of people have taken advantage. We still are trying to reach out. I know the section who's responsible for administering that program, they've been trying to reach out to as many taxpayers. Persons are down on the appointment list, so even if we don't get to you by the end of the amnesty period, once you have come in and that initial contact has taken place, we should be able to...
So you will still be benefiting from that, the amnesty,
yes.
even though you actually... So once you begin that application
the
process,
yes.
you could still
yes.
potentially...
yes. But persons should not wait until the last month to now try and get in. I mean, I know we like to wait last minute to make sure, yeah. But
Yes, and the amnesty is also for filing of returns. So persons who have not filed can go back from 2018 to file their returns without getting the late filing penalty applied.
Okay, so for 2018 for filing, and then you mentioned 2021 for...
prior. For
So for
payments,
for
liabilities, persons who have outstanding amounts, arrears on our books sitting there,
right,
that they should take advantage. So they would only get to pay the tax at this point in time.
Okay, and that is May 1st, you said, but of course, the important thing is to actually come in and have that
Get the
engagement
process
to get the process going.
Yes.
And then you could still potentially benefit from that. So I know it's a very, very busy time for you, and perhaps a very stressful time for a lot of people out there as well. Another matter that comes up quite often, and maybe you could just touch on it, I don't know if your focus, but is that matter of
refunds?
the refunds. Yes, of course, it always comes up, and people. I think that we've heard some pronouncements from the Minister of Finance regarding refunds. How's that process going? Is it it's happening?
Well, it's happening, yes. We have been paying out refunds as fast as we can. Of course, it's a process still, and we are trying our best to, bring up the majority of taxpayers up to at least 2018. Because, I mean, we have quite a number of persons who hadn't gotten paid for a long time. So, yeah, we're working. The staff are doing their best and trying as much as possible to utilize all the funds and pay that out to taxpayers.
Okay, so if you haven't gotten yet, hang in there.
Yeah, just bear a little patience.
Okay,
Yes,
wonderful,
yes.
wonderful. But any other points that you want to raise in particular for taxpayers at this point as we approach the deadline?
Okay, well, for me, I just want persons who are e-filing to remember to upload their supporting documents. We found a number of persons coming in and saying they filed, but they forgot to upload. So we're asking persons to be mindful of that. The system gives a little trouble now and then because, when you have a lot of usage, a lot of traffic with technology, anything that can happen will happen. So persons might just get on and just be so happy to complete that return that they submit without putting their attachments. Also, the scanning to ensure that it's either in PDF format or JPEG, and that what they have scanned is clear, that we can see, read, it's clear for us so that we don't have to be calling them to ask them to resubmit. For those coming in, fill out the front page of the return form, that's where you have to put in your personal information and put in your children's names, get the information. We'll help you with the calculation. That's fine. We understand it can be intimidating. I mean, we have new tax bands, so it may be a new thing for some people, especially with the limits and the calculation. So we help you with that. So at least put in your personal information, the names of your children, the schools, their dates of birth, to make the process faster.
You want to speak a little bit about the tax bands? So, I mean, I don't think we actually said so specifically in terms of what there are. Yes.
So before we had 4 tax bands. Now we have 3. So from with chargeable income from 0 to 15,000 is taxed at a rate of 15%. From 15,001 to 30,000 is taxed at a rate of 20%. And anything above 30,000 is at 30%. Before we had 10, 15, 20, and 30. Now we don't have the 10, so we go straight to the 15, 20, and then 30%.
And so it's a taxable income after you've
after you take out all your allowances.
Yes.
Yes. That is what's left.
Is
that's
what's
taxed.
left. So 0 to 15,000, 15%, 20% for 15,000 to 30,000, and above 30,000, 30%. Okay.
Yes.
So of course, a lot of those things, and this is why the e-filing and having the actual
the PDF
PDF forms are going to be
yes.
useful, because that's already built in,
Definitely. Yes.
so that you don't have to work at that out manually or using your calculator. So of course, very useful. Contacts. How does one reach the Inland Revenue? You may want to just mention that. I know people are probably calling to. Do you have a hotline?
We wish we had a hotline and some staff
A call
to
center.
man. Yeah, a call
Yes.
center. We could do it for one.
Yes.
But persons can reach us through our email addresses. We try as much as possible within the day to respond. Sometimes it goes over into the other day, but we answer all our emails. So it's customer service at ird.gov.lc. So they can drop us an email.
So it's GOV, not GOVT.
Right,
GOV.lc. Okay.
Yes.
Customer service at ird.gov.lc. And that's perhaps the best way of getting a response.
Yeah, but they can still call.
Call.
PBX 468-4700.
Yeah, 468-4730 and 468-8785.
8785. So you're giving us 4700, 4730, and 8785. And of course, the government 468 before any of those numbers. This has been very, very informative, and hopefully for the listening public as well. In terms of course, April the 2nd is the
Yes.
actual deadline, so you still have a little bit more time over the Easter to get it done. And of course, the process of where you can go in if you want to go in for assistance in person or to drop them off in person. Soufriere on Bay Street, VA4 at Uptown Business Center. Bridge Street is also available. Bridge Street Castries, that is, at the ECFH building, back of St. Lucia building. On what floor is that? The third floor. Third floor. Castries Waterfront, Heraldine Rock building at the first and third floor. You can also go into the Sunny Acres property tax office, just near the back road of the Gayboards Mall there, as well as a help desk that's going to be available at the J.Q. Rodney Bay Mall, and that's going into next week as well. It's going to be available.
The Tuesday will be the last
That's
day.
directly upstairs, the KFC, and you're also going to be open this coming Saturday.
Yes.
As you have been from like 9 till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and there's a lot of information to take in, and of course there's a website, so
Yes,
you can
there
they can
is.
obviously go to the website, and that gets a lot of that information available there as well. Any parting words from you, Ms. Goodman, Mrs. Fravel?
Well, I just want taxpayers to come in, not come in. I prefer if you sign up to
Use the technology.
Yes, the
'Cause it's there to
e-filing
help you.
platform,
Yes.
and become an e-user. It may be intimidating at first, but when you get the hang of it,
You
everything
mentioned that you
works
got to
smoothly.
register. What is that? Is that something you can do online, or you have to?
Yes, you register on the platform itself, then the back end, we approve the registration, and then you can access the platform in terms of filing.
And how long does that take, that registration?
Um,
Is it automatic, or is it that something that happens in a day?
Well, we have officers who are manning the e-filing platform, so once you register, probably within an hour, 2 hours, then you should get some feedback. We ask persons to try as much as possible to use a Gmail account, because we've been told that you would get an email to tell you to click on to activate the account. And some persons don't get it, so we have to do it on the back end when they email or call us to say they haven't gotten it. So, yeah, we prefer the e-filing. And we want persons to ensure that they have all supporting documents, whatever you're going to be claiming for, ensure that you have collected your supporting documents.
No, I think this is perhaps the area where you could give the biggest tip in terms of that aspect of the supporting documents, because that might be taking quite a bit of time for people to get them from the various providers. So
Yeah.
it's advisable to keep a file of it.
And
that
well,
you-
they have to get it
They have
from
to get
the
it.
providers. Yes, it's not something that you can keep. I mean, if you keep in your medical receipts,
medical receipts and that
that's
kind of thing.
fine. Yeah. But your life insurance statements, your mortgage interest statements, you have to go to your financial institution or your insurance company to get that. So we shouldn't wait till March to start looking for it. From January, we can start making those requests so we could get our documents early. Just we asking the taxpayers to bear a little patience, those who are walking in, because it takes a process. Somebody may come in to file for 5 years and not just 1 year. So it takes some time, as everything else. So we're asking that they just bear a little patience with us when they come into the department.
Thank you very much for that. And of course, we want to ensure that we have a peaceful interactions with the Inland Revenue Department. And ladies, thank you so very much for sharing with us that whole process, which of course is very important at this time, crunch time for a lot of people. But of course, if we are going to be hoping for getting those refunds and whatnot, that filing process is very, very important. Thank you so very much once again, Mrs. Biru Preville of the Inland Revenue Department, as well as Ms. Goodman from the Inland Revenue Department. Thanks for joining us here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. That's our dish of the day, and when we come back, we'll be taking in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Grozile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Island Style's annual Easter clearance sale is here, and boy, do we have some exciting deals for you. Massive savings on tires to be had with discounts of up to 30% off store-wide. Buy all we have in a low stock model and watch your discount skyrocket with a huge 50% off. Plus, get chip edge tires for as low as $1. Yes, we're clearing out our old stock to bring in the new. And that's not all. The Easter Bunny has added extra savings on toilet tubs, bathroom vanities, tile tools, and so much more. It won't get any better than this. Jump on these excellent deals and visit our Island Style showroom in Cash Street, Rodney Bay, or Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453-TILE. That's 8453. Sale ends holiday Saturday. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's what, of course, on the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talamba. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from between the east, southeast, and east near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. The weather fair skies becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some scattered showers over the northern portion of the Lesser Antilles. Further south, fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers. And the weather summary, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate light to moderate easterly to southeasterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region during the next 24 hours. Moisture and instability associated with an approaching frontal trough will cause an increase in cloudiness with showers over the northern portion of the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. Patches of low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause a Patches of low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause a few brief showers over the southern part of the region during the forecast period. And this was the weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talamba.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 #1.
Island Stars annual Easter clearance sale is here. And boy, do we have some exciting deals for you. Massive savings on tires to be had with discounts of up to 30% off store-wide. Buy all we have in the low stock model and watch your discounts skyrocket with a huge 50% off. Plus get chip edge tires for as low as $1. Yes, we're clearing out our old stock to bring in the new. And that's not all. The Easter Bunny has added extra savings on toilet, tubs, bathroom vanities, tile tools, and so much more. It won't get any better than this. Jump on these excellent deals and visit our Island Style showroom in Cash Street, Rodney Bay, or Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. That's 8453. Sale ends holiday Saturday. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. We have about 17 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. And of course, we are into what is known as Holy Week for many of the religious communities and adherents in St. Lucia and around the world. And over the weekend, yesterday, in fact, we saw the celebration of Palm Sunday that involved processions going around various towns and city streets. And of course, that no doubt was very colorful in very many parts of the island. I think I saw yesterday, in fact, indeed, in the city of Castries, a sort of an ecumenical celebration of Palm Sunday with the members of both the Catholic and Anglican religious communities participating in Palm Sunday celebrations. Of course, this coming Friday is Good Friday, so we will not be on air for that, and of course into the Easter weekend as well as Easter Monday will of course also be off air. So we do wish everybody in advance a very blessed Holy Week. Now, also, just want to send out some condolences to the family of the late Mr. Fitz Baptiste, and he was 96 years old. Very good innings, and he recently passed over the weekend. So we're going to extend our condolences to his family at this time. Now, at this time, tomorrow, in fact, I think we're going to be seeing the finances of the country coming under scrutiny, and that is because the Minister of Finance is going to be presenting to the House of Assembly the estimates of revenue and expenditure. This is the first part of what could be called, I suppose, really two-part process of financial scrutiny to bring forward the country's finances for the upcoming year, 2024-2025. And so the estimates of revenue and expenditure gives the breakdown of really what is expected to be spent by the government, line by line, head by head, giving a sense of what each government central government department is going to be spending, the various state commissions, from the Governor General to the Office of the Prime Minister to the Integrity Commission and the Public Service Commissions and Electoral Commissions, the various ministries of government. Each of them will be, and their finances for the year will be provided for and enunciated through this document. It tends to be a very thick document of hundreds of pages, which gives a sense of what the government hopes to be able to raise by way of tax measures, tax revenue, as well as non-tax revenue, things like fees and fines and the like, as well, of course, things like monies raised from the Citizenship by Investment program, and other forms of government revenue. That is going to be indicated for the upcoming financial year. Of course, it's also a time to see what the performance of government finances has been. So it'll give you a sense as to how much money was actually allocated, how much was actually spent. There has been a considerable challenge over the years, in particular dealing with capital projects, capital development projects, if you want to call them that as well, and how that has been going. The implementation rates of these projects have unfortunately not been as strong as they should be. Government expenses is generally broken down into the recurring aspects, the operating aspects of government, payment of salaries and emoluments and wages to the public sector, public workers, public servants, as well as the purchase of goods and services that government uses in the process of doing that. Rental, of course, that has been a very topical matter in terms of the amount government spends on rent over every single year. That figure has been going up and up because as government seems to be expanding. So, of course, that issue and how that is being handled is no doubt should be given some level of scrutiny. But, of course, a lot of other services that government will use. It procures materials and equipment for everything from desks and chairs and chalk and in schools and whiteboards and whatever the case may be in our education system, to gauze and medicaments and equipment that are used in our health centers and hospitals around the island. That's all encapsulated in that government purchase of goods and services. Government will hire legal services, they'll hire consulting services, they'll hire a whole host of various services over a period of the year. And that, of course, has to be all encapsulated within the finances of the country. And, of course, the other major matter that comes back every year is that of debt servicing. That's one of the 4 large areas for recurrent spending. How much government is paying in its interest rates, its interest payments, and the other one, of course, also being that of transfers, public transfers. Could be anything from subventions to monies provided to subsidize various sectors and the like. So that's happening tomorrow afternoon with the presentation of the estimates. But let's try to take in a call at this time. Of course, the number to do so is 4523046. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you get somebody from Ministry of Health to come in your program to speak about Cuban eye care? Because there's a lot of delays now in for people to be able to get surgery done. Cubans, I don't know, they're supposed to be at VH, and the equipment is supposed to be at OK. But a number of people up to this morning, even my cousin of mine, they cannot get surgery done. And nobody is saying, people have no idea, but every time it's postponed. So like some people over 2 years, they were supposed to have surgery, and up to now, everything cannot be done. So maybe they should actually come out and explain. I don't know if you can get them to come and explain what's going on, because some people are actually losing their sight, especially people that have the cataract and all of these things. I tell you, both my cousin and her husband too have problem, and up to now they cannot get through.
I mean, that program has really helped a lot of people over the years, and so certainly if you are in fact indicating that there are a lot of delays with it, I think yes, there should be some maybe an update as to what the status of that is. So thanks very much though for raising that one.
Nobody has said anything, and people are just wondering what is going on.
Well, and yes,
and at VH, but they are at VH.
Sorry, they are at VH.
Yeah, that's where they are now. The Cubans, the same place they used to be at VH. They're back there.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, I don't know what's wrong with the equipment that are at OKE, or I don't know. But I mean, they have to explain everything to people.
Right.
People that need to see them and have these surgeries and cannot get it done, and some of them, the eyes are getting even worse.
Yes, and of course we would not be privy to precisely how that program works, who is responsible for what. So it may be that there may be delays on the or challenges on the Cuban side, or there may be delays on our side. So it would be right. It would be useful to get some sense as to what the issues are, and then if people may have the means to be able to do otherwise, maybe they could seek out.
Because some people to go to the other places are like 5,000. How much money? So with the Cubans, it's such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, saying what is it they going to do? Because some people really don't have the money,
The means to do it, yeah.
The other places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's time somebody come out and say something and clarify, explain to people what is going on and why there's this long delay and all of these things taking place.
Thanks very, very much for pointing out.
I don't know, but my brothers tell me the people that were killed at the concert in Russia.
In Russia, yes.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin actually lit a candle and made the sign of the cross. And I say, but Vladimir Putin killing so many people over in Ukraine.
Huh. Well,
My goodness.
you know, Paula, religion is a funny thing, you know. When in Russia, they would probably tell you that Vladimir Putin is a hero for the church. He in fact has helped quite a lot the Orthodox Church of Russia. You know, especially he's been a great patron of church projects. In fact, there was one of the most recent massive cathedrals that has been built around the world. It was in Russia, and it was a military cathedral. It was a in memory of the Russian military. So it's interesting that you're saying so, but yes, I have no doubt that he probably has been lighting these candles, and Russia has in some regards has gone through a sort of a revival in terms of their church over there, the Orthodox Church. But of course, so under communism, there was a pretty much I say a ban, but there was a suppression of religion, and so since then there's been quite a lot of and in fact it has been a very divisive matter in Russia as well, because the Patriarch of Moscow had jurisdiction over a bit of in fact I think of Ukraine, right, by extension. And so the way the Orthodox Church is that there are a number of patriarchies, and so for Greece they have their own, and Constantinople, although it's still more of a symbolic center for the Orthodox Church, because right now Constantinople is Istanbul, which is in Turkey, predominantly Muslim country, and then in the other regions you do have these patriarchates. But so the Patriarch, I think Kirill of Moscow, was the one who was responsible for Ukraine, and that has caused for Ukraine to effectively sort of form their own church as well. So the issue of religion is an interesting one in terms of how the church in Moscow views the war versus how the church in Ukraine views the war. Being split against largely.
142 of his people died.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he did that. But look at the amounts that have been killed in Ukraine by the Russian soldiers and things. So yeah, he feels. But how do you feel? Does he think the people in Ukraine feel when he keep on killing people like that all the time? You feel for those that were killed at the concert, but yet you will go on. You're going to keep on bombing this, bombing that, destroying so many lives. So
that's the thing about human beings, right? We have this way of somehow trying to compartmentalize our actions, and so it's we will mourn the loss of who we consider our own, but sometimes not see the humanity in other people, and we of course refer to them as all sorts of denigrating things and say that they're monsters, and so we turn them into something less than human, and which is of course what we've been hearing coming out of Israeli authorities with the whole matter in Gaza, with people being almost said that they're not human beings, they and so it justifies the actions, and we've seen how that is always problematic.
It's just like what's happening in Haiti, because imagine, I listened to a discussion. There were 4 men of the cloth. Canon Evelyn of the Anglican Church, Father St. Tut of the Catholic Church, there was Pastor Ben, another the pastor, and there was this discussion. I think it was after Haiti went through all of what it went through, the earthquake and all sorts of things. There, the person in Sheldon was interviewing, trying to find out what do you think is going wrong with speaking. And there, Canon Evelyn and Father St. Tut was given detail as to why the people of Haiti are going through what they're going through, about all what they did to them and all of those things. But yet the 2 other pastors just believed this country was just cursed.
I get what you're saying, Carla, and it's very unfortunate when we get into that kind of belief that this is something that it is somehow brought upon individuals because of some action of you had these generational curses, and so this individual, these people are cursed and nothing good can come of them, and that kind of thing. And it's I mean, obviously there's far more that's going on with respect to Haiti. It's not to say that we want to take away people's beliefs, but then we also have to deal with the reality of the actions of human beings in many of these situations. And human beings are the ones who are making decisions, taking actions, killing people, oppressing people. And for some reason, we seem not to want to deal with the human beings, but we somehow take this fatalistic approach that there's nothing that can be done because they're simply cursed and nothing can come of them otherwise. So it.
Where's the gentleman that used to be calling you?
Oh, are you referring to Mr. Francis? I suspect. Yeah, I don't know. I have to check up on him, actually. I haven't heard of him in a little while, so we do need to make sure that he's okay.
Because I haven't heard the good afternoon, Mr. George.
Yes, thanks for pointing that out, caller. Indeed. All right, then. Have a good one. Oh, sorry. I think she was saying something, but we actually are at the time where we kind of need to end the program here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, we'll be back again tomorrow for another program, and so we do hope that we can join us there for that. And I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.